What's going on, guys? My name is Chris Diamantacos. I'm one of the owners here at Clearcut Fitness. And today we're gonna go over the health benefits of having strong and developed glutes. Yes, believe it or not, glutes are not just about aesthetics. I'm also gonna share some general thoughts on glute training and how you wanna program in terms of frequency, in terms of sets and reps, and in terms of exercise selection. There's a lot of content out there on glute training. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. There's some great content, there's some crappy content, there's tons of programs that you can get for free as well. I just want to show you some of the principles of glute training and also some of the benefits of training your glutes and getting them strong beyond just aesthetics. If you're watching this video, you're probably interested in how to grow your glutes optimally. Booty training has grown exponentially in the past 10 years or so. Before that, you'd be hard-pressed to find some specific articles and videos like this to help you grow your glutes and show you how to do it. Did you know that building a bigger and stronger booty actually has many health benefits? More than just helping you look good. First and foremost, having a strong booty can help you prevent injury. Believe it or not, many injuries stem from having weak or underactive glutes. Most popular are knee and lower back injuries. This is because if the glutes aren't functioning properly to do their job, other muscle groups will have to kick in and help. And those muscle groups are not likely to be as strong as the glutes for that purpose. So they can become overworked and weak, and you could have a muscular tear, or they might not be able to handle the load that the glutes are in that position. Therefore, you'll end up injuring something else, like your lower back or your knee. Now, when we talk about a bigger and stronger booty, we don't necessarily mean the biggest and strongest possible. We just mean compared to baseline. So if you're someone who works out recreationally, maybe a couple of times a week, and you're not focusing on specific glute work, you'll likely notice a benefit in not only strength, but also injury prevention by adding some specific glute strengthening work in. Having said that, there is some really cool research to show that elite athletes tend to have bigger and stronger functioning glutes compared to amateur athletes. That alone should be an incentive to do your glute work properly and add it into your program. You don't need to add much glute training to notice the benefits from baseline to maybe adding 1 or 2 exercises in a week. However, if you are trying to build a bigger booty for all of the reasons above, aesthetics, power, strength, all that type of stuff, then you will want to benefit from programming in your glutes multiple times a week. If you're doing a 3-day-a-week strength program, you can definitely add 1 or 2 exercises in each workout for your glutes. And if you're doing a 4-day-a-week program of strength training where you're hitting the legs twice and your upper body twice, you're already going to be hitting your glutes with some of your squats, some of your deadlifts and stuff like that. However, you will benefit from adding specific glute training. We're gonna go over some of the exercises that are specific and best for building your glutes. One aspect of glute training that's very overlooked is the fact that there are some exercises that are best loaded heavier and some exercises that are best loaded a lot lighter, but with a lot more reps. You see, many people will follow Instagram and YouTube fitness people, fitness models, whatever you want to call them, and you'll see them doing a million different glute exercises. However, they may not be putting together a proper program for you that goes through heavy, medium, light exercises, when and how to do them all. Likely you follow some people that just do heavy lifting, and likely you follow some people that build a booty by just doing some band exercises. Now, chances are those people actually do heavy and light exercises. However, they may be just trying to sell you a program that uses maybe just resistance bands, and that's all you end up seeing is those light exercises that are more isolation, as opposed to your compound movements that can handle more load and work multiple joints. So back to the programming. You can generally handle about 10 sets a week of heavy exercises for a certain muscle group. So if we separate the glute muscle group from the rest of the legs, that's about 5 sets, 2 workouts a week. Now that's going heavy. When you go light, let's say something for 20 reps, 25 reps, maybe even 30, where you're feeling the burn, and something lighter using maybe a resistance band or even your own body weight. You can do those more often because it's easier to recover from, but heavier training takes longer for your body to recover. And this is important to note because we don't want you overtraining. You may be trying to build a booty and you're working it out to some extent 6 or 7 days a week. And sure, from baseline, that's going to grow. However, you are going to plateau very quickly if you're not allowing your body to recover properly. Same goes for nutrition. You need to be hitting the right macronutrient ratios for what your goal is. So if you want to grow a booty, you're gonna have to likely up your protein, maybe even up your carbs. You need to be in that calorie surplus so you can actually build muscle. It's very difficult to build a booty if you're eating in a calorie deficit and you're trying to also lose fat at the same time. It is possible in some circumstances, but the majority of the time you want to focus either on building or cutting and maintaining your muscle. The other aspect is the sets and reps. So back to the main point, if you're doing resistance training and you have a set program of 2 lower body days a week, then you can split those up. And I would do a heavy and a light exercise on each day for your glutes specifically. This is in addition to whatever squats, deadlifts, lunges you may be doing already. If you're doing more full body programs at 2 or 3 workouts a week, let's say every other day, then you're going to be able to hit your glutes in each workout. However, keep in mind that if you're going to go heavy on each of those days, or relatively heavy, then you're gonna want to stick to that 10 sets or around there a week in total volume. So if you're doing 3 days a week, that may be 3 total working sets for the glutes in each workout. And again, that's just talking about heavy stuff. You can throw in your isolation stuff at the end if you want as well. If you've plateaued your booty gains from doing 2 or 3 workouts a week with just 3 sets and 1 exercise, then you can start looking at adding more isolation work for the glutes. That will add volume and that will likely help you break out of a plateau. Now, another interesting thing to keep in mind is that if you've been following Brett Contreras for years, such as myself, the Glute King, you'll know that he's written a lot about glute training. He's also been part of many scientific experiments comparing different exercises and which ones are better for glute development in different scenarios even. Now, one interesting thing that he did a while back, a few years back now, is that he had one of his clients just do body weight or even light training. I think it was just with a band for the whole time she was on vacation. I think it was a month or something like that, just to see if she would build or maintain or lose any of her glute muscle and strength. And what he actually found out was that by doing a few exercises light every day, it still stimulated the glutes enough to maintain her glute strength and her glute muscle. So that is great. However, keep in mind, if you're one of those people that likes working out every day and does light glutes every day, it's good for maintenance. It probably isn't the best for building the booty. You can do this with almost anything. You can use the flat barbell. I can link a video to that below. You can use a dumbbell. You can use bands wrapped around both your knees, but also if you have something to anchor them under, like having 2 heavy dumbbells, you can also put the band across your hips like this. Next up is the Bulgarian split squat, also known as the rear foot elevated split squat. This is a great glute exercise for a few reasons. One, it allows you to get a full range of motion and really stretch the glutes at the bottom. We know that a stretched muscle that's loaded is a working muscle. This is a single leg exercise too, therefore you're also working your smaller glute muscles that help stabilize the hips. This is the goblet variation where I'm holding the weight up in the goblet position. and then you'll see that I switch over to holding the dumbbell in one hand. This is just to show that there are many different variations. You can even use bands, you can even use chains or the barbell as well. This is probably the hardest to perform exercise that we have here. They're called single leg hip thrusts. Believe it or not, you have to actually produce a lot of force with your one glute to get your body weight up. And you also have to stabilize your hips with your abs and your glute so that you don't rotate and twist using your lower back. Now you can add some weight to this as well. I find that even just a dumbbell going 20 to 50 pounds is more than enough to feel a stimulus and make this exercise quite difficult. You want to make sure that you're thrusting up and you're using your full hip range of motion. Don't use your lower back to compensate. These next 3 exercises are going to be using a resistance band around the knees. Now the reason why we do it is because the band is going to try and pull your knees in. Meanwhile, we want you to push your knees out. And what that does is engage the glutes in the external rotation manner. The glutes do both hip extension and hip external rotation. So by doing a glute bridge, you're actually getting both hip extension, trying to raise the hips, and hip external rotation by fighting that band that's trying to come in. Now I'm just showing you the same thing with a dumbbell, just putting a dumbbell on my hips, same exact movement, just loads it a little bit more. This is actually a great exercise for anyone suffering from low back pain, especially if it's compression based, because this exercise does not really compress the spine. Next up, we have glute clams with the band. This is specifically targeting that hip external rotation that I was talking about before. There is no hip extension here. We're just getting those smaller glute muscles that will also help build shape of the glutes and strength in the external rotation. Forward lunges are next. You can also do walking lunges. This is such a great booty building exercise because it targets all 3 aspects of the glutes. You get hip extension, you also get deceleration, which means that your glutes are actually working to decelerate your body as you're moving forward. And that also plays with the stability because it's a single leg exercise. Glute kickbacks are a classic isolation glute exercise. You can do them with bands or a cable machine. It's super important that you're just using your glutes and you're not using your lower back to twist or rotate or get hyperextension. So you see here, I'm now twisting and rotating with my lower back, which I don't want. My glutes are still working a bit, and this is worse. This is where I feel my lower back as just as much as my glutes. We don't want that either, or else you can come up with low back pain. So once again, showing you how to do it properly here with the other side. You're going to actually brace your abs. You're going to keep everything tight. And you can see there, if you want to make it harder, you hold your arms out further. That will put more tension on the band. And if you want it easier, then you bring your arms more underneath your body, closer to your legs. But you can see here these nice reps. I'm nice and tight, I'm not rotating, and I'm kicking my leg back and a little bit up. These are Romanian deadlifts performed with a pair of dumbbells. So you'll see that I start in a neutral spine. My chest is up. I hinge at the hip. I go as low as I can until I feel a stretch in my hamstring without losing my neutral spine back position. I also have a soft bend in my knees. So here, I'm actually doing what's more comfortable for my hand position, which is to have the dumbbells a little bit diagonal. I started off having them completely neutral to my side. That will decrease the amount of lower back activity because the closer the weight is to the middle of your body, the less tension on your lower back. And here I'm mimicking what a barbell would be like, where I'm actually touching the 2 dumbbells together out in front of me. So this puts the most stress and emphasis on the posterior chain. Now this is what we don't want. Rounding your lower back to get all the way down. I can feel these reps that my lower back is working and my hamstrings aren't even working. And this is the opposite, a straight leg or stiff leg deadlift. Now, I'm not a huge fan of those because look at how small my range of motion is, and I actually also still feel my lower back a bit, more than I should. The reason why this is not a great position is because we want the hamstrings to be the main muscle working. And when you round your lower back, it takes tension off the hamstring and it puts most of it on your lower back. This is something else to watch out for. You don't want to turn your Romanian deadlift into a squat. So this is what happens if I try and go all the way down. Get into a Romanian deadlift until I feel the stretch of my hamstring, and then I start bending my knees to get all the way. That's not what we're looking for here. This is a hamstring-centric exercise. So here, I'm going nice and controlled tempo, and I'm even pausing for a second at the bottom so I can really feel the stretch. This is a good thing to do if you're just learning this exercise because it helps you feel how big of a range of motion you should actually be getting. It's also good for people trying to get to the next step because it'll add time under tension with the same amount of weight, and that can lead to more gains. Last but not least is the deep squat. Now you need to go deep to get good glute activation. If you can't go low enough, you're better off choosing a different exercise. The lower you go, the better the glute activation. If you're only doing a half squat like that, you're hardly going to be working your glutes at all. Or if you're even doing a quarter squat, good luck. Even a variation like this, where you're doing a frog or sumo squat, you'll notice that you can't even get all the way down. So that's not going to help you build your booty. You see how much extra space I have there? Now this is just a couple examples using the barbell. So with a back squat, you can still get as deep as you need, as big of a range of motion as you need in order to get optimal booty gains from a squat. And now here you'll see the same thing for a front squat variation. I still get full range of motion. My butt gets nice and low, and my glutes are loaded. One last thing to wrap it all up. Remember earlier I mentioned that there are some exercises better done with heavier weights and some exercises better done with lighter weights? Well, the exercises that you see me using dumbbells with, that I also say you can use barbells and stuff like that, those are the ones that are best done heavier. The ones that are super lightweight, that I'm using bands or body weight or light dumbbells, those are the ones that are better used with lighter weights and higher reps.